Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and a brand new event is starting for the next 4 days. At least until Monday, you will have an opportunity, a one-time opportunity, to trade in a tech tree that you currently have to be able to get a tech tree that you don't have. So this will allow you to, for example, take an old tech tree which you've either grinded through and you absolutely hate it, for a brand new tech tree that you've always sought after, but maybe you don't really have the willpower to be able to grind through it. This will be an interesting opportunity not only for current players to think through which one tech tree, and you only get one choice, they would want to be able to get their hands on. And also, it will be an interesting opportunity for players who are inactive in the game to maybe just come back, burn resources that are already lying around on their account to be able to get their hands on something new, to be able to try it out, especially with holiday ops and the well-deserved reward around the corner. So now that the event has been fully released, I can give you a detailed breakdown of what the actual cost will be. And that's why I've waited until now to release this video, so I can give you the whole picture, because frankly, the video that Wargaming released a couple of days ago, bizarrely, didn't give us the full picture of what the most important thing is, and that is how much it will cost you as a World of Tanks player to trade one tech tree for another. But before I give a breakdown exactly of the economics, let's watch
Want to add
Wargaming's
some
video.
excitement to your game, but don't have time to go all the way through the tech tree again?
Oh yeah.
Then the Researchable Vehicles Trade-In is just for you.
Wow.
It'll let you quickly refresh your garage and spice things up.
While losing access
If
to
you
a
have
tech
at
tree.
least one Tier 10 vehicle researched, you'll soon see a banner.
Happy music, relaxing
Don't miss
music.
it, as the events won't be around for long.
Cool.
Only one trade-in operation will be available per account, so think carefully about what you want to exchange. You can receive any vehicle branch, except for a couple of recently released ones.
So I presume this is going to be branches that literally just came out this year.
You can trade any vehicle branch researched from Tier 6 through Tier 10. Vehicles below Tier 6 aren't eligible for exchange. The trade-in affects not only researched vehicles, but also those you've purchased. For example, if you have an entire branch researched, but it's only Tier 9 and Tier 10 in your garage, the trade-in will take this into account. The vehicles of those tiers will appear in your garage, while the others will just be researched. If you've already researched some of the vehicles in the branch you want, you'll save by only exchanging for the ones you haven't. The vehicles you don't need for the trade-in will remain in your garage.
So unfortunately, this means that if you've sold the tier 10 of the tech tree that you want to get rid of, while you will research the new tier 10, you're not going to have that waiting for you after the trade-in.
You can bring the trade-in cost in gold all the way down to zero
Now,
using
this is the
other
interesting
resources.
part.
However, you can only invest a limited amount of each resource, except bonds. You can invest as many of them as you like, up to the entire cost.
But as I noticed in the calculator, and I'm not sure if this was a mistake at the time when I watched this video a couple days ago, the bond price was extreme. So I'm looking forward to getting into the calculator in a second and seeing how extreme the bond price is.
Don't miss the details screen. It has a drop-down list telling you what will happen to everything equipped on each vehicle you're trading in.
God, look at that. A mess.
This way you can make sure you don't...
Well, not a mess. Let me be fair. It doesn't look like a mess that Wargaming are presenting. It just shows you how many different things there are actually on your tanks in World of Tanks.
lose anything. Field modifications will be transferred to your new vehicles. Equipment, including improved and experimental equipment, will be sent to the depot free of charge.
That's useful for bond equipment, because bond equipment will cost you 200 bonds to demount each piece.
Vehicles' crews will become recruits and keep all their accumulated XP, but be aware that their nation won't change.
So let me clarify this part. So if you want to trade in, for example, an E100 to get a T110E5, then your recruits will stay German. That means that you will not have crews for the new vehicles, but with the new crew system in place, you can recruit 100% crews immediately.
For example, if you exchange the E100 for the T110E5, you won't be able to keep using the old crew.
Yep.
The E100's crew will remain in your barracks for other German vehicles, while your new vehicles will have fresh American recruits.
Fantastic.
If the crews in the old vehicles weren't trained for them, they will be moved to the barracks.
They will be moved to the barracks. Ah, so you can't just put a random crew in and expect them to then be turned into a free retrain for whatever vehicle. That makes sense.
All Elite XP from the vehicles you give away will be transferred to the Tier 1 vehicle of the same nation. You can also convert all XP to free XP as usual.
Yeah, from the Tier 1 at either 25 or 40 experience per gold. That's going to be very, very costly.
If you haven't received field modifications, it's best to do so before the exchange.
This is a very important moment. If you have experience on the vehicles before you trade in, research the field mods, because then you'll unlock the field mods on the new nations branch. So please, before you do the trade-in, check all of the vehicles, see if you can research any field mods. Otherwise, it's just going to go to raw experience on a Tier 1 tank. You're going to have to spend more gold to be able to convert off.
You can find more details on the trade-in conditions in the article on the portal. Be aware that you can't undo the operation after you confirm it.
No swapsies.
Don't let your cat near your computer when making your choice. You only have one trade-in operation, so select your new vehicles carefully.
Yeah.
Refresh your garage in just a few clicks.
Great. Okay, so let's go and see how much this costs. Okay, let's go and see how much this costs. So I'm on my personal North American account. On my North American account, the only tech tree I have is the Italian heavies. So let's see what happens if I click Italian heavies. And for example, I want to receive, I don't know, should we say Swedish tank destroyers? They're cool, right? How much is this going to cost me? Bloomin' heck. 16,800 gold? Okay, well, maybe I can get the price down. So what this will do is it will de-research Tier 6 to Tier 10, and I will lose my Rinoceronte, and I will get the STRV 103B instead. Okay, so let's see if I can get this price down a little bit then. Okay, so if I just... so it looks like 3,360 free experience is 1%. So that means that I can get the price down by 10% from free experience. That is weird, because I swear in Wargaming's video, it was much higher. Okay, watch this, boys and girls. So Wargaming are doing a tech tree trade-in, and they are going to put free experience in. Let's see what happens. So they put in 11,400 free experience, and the price just went down by 3,700 gold. Okay, I'm putting in 33,000 free experience, and my price went down by 1,700 gold. See, this is why I waited for today to make this video, because that is very different to what Wargaming was suggesting it was going to be. Okay, let's put in universal fragments as well. Remember, I could use these universal... That's very cheap, actually. 10 universal fragments is very cheap. I can get the price down another 10%. Okay. National fragments, another 10%. Okay, so I've got my total price down by like about 5,040 gold. In Wargaming's video, what happened when they added in all of the universal fragments, and what happens when they added in all of the national fragments? Okay, for some reason, Wargaming's price actually went down by... Is that 5,800 gold discount when they only put in a little bit of free experience in universal fragments and national fragments? Why has their price gone down from 9,800 all the way down to let's get the bonds off there. Why has their price gone down to 3,000, like less than 4,000 gold, whereas my price is still over 11,000 once I've put in the full amount of national fragments and universal fragments? Okay, so how many bonds do I have to put in here then? Holy crap, are Wargaming taking hundreds of bonds and only giving me a little bit of a discount off the gold price? Holy moly! What? Are you kidding me? Okay, 23,520 bonds to be able to get a full discount off a nation swap. That's nearly all my bonds. That's absolute madness. That's absolute madness. Okay, so if I was to, for example, go to the store right now, and I was to go to The bond store. Where is the bond store even? Is this the one? Oh no, it's at the bottom. I'm an idiot. Okay. For that price, I could get 2 entire tier 10 tanks, pretty much. Or I could get a tier 10 and a tier 8 premium. Or I could get a tier 9 premium for 11,000 bonds. This is not a bad tank. It's not bad. And it will make me bonds as opposed to switching my nation branch, which is just going to absolutely ruin me. I could get 3 tier 8 premiums. I could get the guard, which is great. I just featured it in a YouTube video with 13 kills. I could get the T103, which is great. I could get the 252U, which is fantastic. I could get myself a reasonable scout, 1 reasonable scout for front line, so I can be prepared for that. I could get a Lorraine. I could get a whole host of ultra rare tanks towards the bottom end as well if I really wanted. I have no idea why Wargaming have made the price so ridiculously expensive, and why in their YouTube video they presented it as having an astronomical discount price compared to what is actually available inside the calculator itself. And this is probably why they didn't have a calculator on their website a couple of days ago, because of how expensive this is. Okay, so let's imagine for a second that instead of giving Wargaming 11,760 gold, or instead of giving them literally all of the bonds that I have on my account, how much free experience could I get for their trade-in offer? Okay, so 11,760 free experience is actually, when you convert it at the best discount, which happens multiple times per year, going to be 470,000 free experience. Okay, how far will 470,000 free experience get me up a tech tree? So remember, we start from tier 6 and we work our way up towards tier 10. So I'm going to need 12,100, with the tank price being 61,420. Then I'm going to need 19,100, with the next tank price being 104,500. Then I'm going to need an additional 52,000 experience, with the tank price 154,900. And then finally, I'm going to need another 6,580, with the final tank price being 240,800. So this means the total price to literally just use free experience and no blueprints through the tech tree will be just over 700,000 free experience. So if we look at that as a difference of the 470,000, we're only actually saving 240,000 free experience compared to if we'd just researched up the entire branch anyway. But what's demoralizing about this is that, remember, you will have to give up the entire nation. They're going to become unresearched to save yourself a significant amount of free experience, but not in the grand scheme of losing an entire branch in World of Tanks. And it's almost like Wargaming aren't really considering that they already have a feature in the game for skipping through a tech tree, and that is the blueprint system, which, for example, on the STRV, every time it will save me 17,000 experience. Accordingly, I would only really need to unlock the entirety of the STRV 103B with blueprints to make the price of Wargaming's skip offer and actually just converting the gold in the first place to be able to get the free experience practically identical. But remember, you get to keep all of the old tech tree. And so to come to a conclusion about how good of an offer this is, I really don't see this being a good deal. I think that Wargaming have implemented it in a really good way. Whoever's thought this through has really thought this through. It looks like a great mechanic inside the game, and there's nothing wrong with the idea of trading in a tech tree to be able to get a new one. Well, maybe I do have one gripe with it later on that I will suggest. But whoever considered from Wargaming to make the bond price discount so ridiculously high to screw the player base out of the most important resource, which is bonds, has really got their economics wrong. And this looks more like a terrible deal than a really good opportunity. Now, I could understand if they wanted to make the price high if this wasn't a one-time offer, but realistically, what I think that Wargaming have done here is missed out on an opportunity to possibly attract back a lot of inactive World of Tanks players who maybe had no interest in actually coming back to the game until the idea that they could get rid of one of their most hated branches and be able to get a new one. Now, with regards to whether you should trade in yourself, irrelevant of whether you have a lot of money or not, here would be two things that I would be worried about. Number one, Wargaming love to buff branches. One of their favorite things that they've been doing over the last couple of years is taking balanced tanks and just making them outrageously good. Look at the Panzer VII, for example. No one really thought about the Panzer VII, and now they do. What's to say, for example, that Wargaming aren't planning a massive buff to the concept line, or that Wargaming aren't planning to buff the Japanese heavy tanks, for example. Imagine how gutted you would be if you suffered through an entire line and then spent like 10,000 gold to be able to switch to another branch, and then in a few months time from now, Wargaming just decide that they want to buff that branch that you gave away, and you have to do it all again, or you just don't have the privilege of being able to play the buffed tanks on day one. The next thing I'd like to mention is that this will undoubtedly bring a lot of players into vehicles that they are unfamiliar with. And so the quality of play in the matchmaker, at least for the next few weeks, is going to be very suspect. However, I'm not really going to exaggerate the impact that this is likely to have. As I've highlighted, there are already many ways that you can be able to skip through the grind of World of Tanks. Be that with free experience, or be that just with the system that Wargaming already have, the blueprint system. And so all in all, the tech tree trade-in system, the actual system itself looks really good. Wargaming have thought through pretty much all of the issues that could possibly arise with it, and the way that it seems to work looks great. However, in true Wargaming greedy fashion, they have basically just taken an event that could have been a real good opportunity to possibly get players back into the game, and they've made it just far too expensive. And I think this is a real missed opportunity, Wargaming, to maybe reactivate a few players, which has come at the cost of you trying to drain some currency out of the economy. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was my opinion on what I think about Wargaming's trade-in offer. Well, I would say no thanks, in all honesty. But I do understand there'll be a load of players out there who have always wanted a branch, have got a useless branch, and maybe for you guys, the 10 to 15,000 gold isn't going to be a big deal. All I'm suggesting is that the bonds is a scam. Just pay the gold price, save your bonds, spend your bonds in the store. Definitely fill out the free experience, definitely fill out the universal fragments and the national fragments, but don't get milked of your most important currency. Don't do this unless you can afford the gold price. Anyway, that's it for today, ladies and gents. Really hope this video was useful, or you just enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below multiple things. What branch are you going to trade for what? Or is the price just too high for you to bother? And are you an inactive player who will be coming back to the game to be able to switch out a branch? And which one are you going to choose and why? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.